Hello. Today I will be once more featuring the Gearing, a ship that I did promise that I would cover a few more games in, since it has been such a long time since I actually covered the ship properly. Now, the nasty looking camo I'm wearing is of course the 250% Captain XP one, since I am playing on the NA server, hence my need for Captain XP. I don't have an 18-point Captain here yet, so this is a pretty quick way of achieving it. Now, the game mode is Standard Battle, which is one of the reasons why I thought this game was interesting enough to highlight, because Standard Battle isn't really that favorable for the Gearing. In fact, the Shimakaze probably enjoys Standard Battles the most, whereas the Gearing, of course, prefers, mostly Domination. Epicenter is okay as well. Bastion tends to favor Gearing the most, since it's all about being undetected and when you get spotted, very close quarters fights in general. But Domination tends to be the absolute favorite for the Gearing, so Standard Battle isn't really its cup of tea. Now, I get pretty lucky here, meaning that I spot one of my main priority targets right from the start, which is, sorry about that, my phone, which is of course the tier 10 enemy battleship, the Montana. Shimakaze pops in close, which means, well, hello there, I'll happily take that fight. I have no intention of actually smoking up myself. I want to force him to smoke up because, well, in this kind of situation, the Shimakaze is absolutely forced to smoke up when fighting you. He has no other options. If he tries to take that fight, he's gonna get wrecked. I follow it up by launching what I consider dual-purpose torps. I mentioned this before. The idea is, of course, they might hit the Shimakaze if he stays in the smoke, but they are actually aimed at the Montana. I've often mentioned using my torps like this, and there I saw a perfect opportunity to do it, where of course the primary target is the Montana, but because of the Shimakaze popping up so perfectly, there's a chance of hitting him as well. Those aren't my... He's not my target, the Shima, of course, the Montana is. As soon as the Shimakaze disappears, I start firing, and here of course is one of the massive main strengths of the Gearing, which is of course stealth firing. At 9.8 km and beyond, you can stealth fire. I caused some fires and I hit a torpedo, which forced him to repair. And since I know that he has used his repair, this is worth it for me to pop my smoke, because this is a tier 10 battleship that has used his smoke, and he's still pushing in because we don't have too many ships on this side. So I'm more than happy to trade a smoke here, because this is most likely trading a smoke for a tier 10 battleship kill. The only thing I need at this point is to get some fires going, and of course the Gearing gunpowder is absolutely insane, incredibly powerful, very destructive, high fire chance, huge DPM. Even if I don't get fires, I deal a significant amount of damage. At this point I could easily be using AP because he's giving me so much broadside, but even HE, when I get these flat, nice superstructure hits, is dealing a good chunk of damage. I do want to fire there we go, 2 fires in this situation. This Montana is most likely already dead, and there is nothing he can do about it. I forced his repair early with the torpedoes and fires, and well, he turns away trying to evade, and that means he gives broadside or, well, a significant amount of flat area to the Yamato, who instantly punishes him. I leave my smoke since there's nothing more to shoot from the smoke, and in general, when there's enemy Shimas around, you might have noticed that I purposefully angled towards the general direction of the enemy Shimakaze to not give him a flat side. Especially when you're shooting enemy battleships like that, you don't want to be giving full flat areas to him. You want to be angled. In case the torps do come, then you are not giving that flat perfect side, but you can avoid the torps fairly easily. Shimakaze torps do give you some warning time, and not too many understand to run the F3 torps, which are of course the deadliest at targeting DDs in smoke. Now, I don't actually want to torp the Mogami, I want to torp the Torpedoes and the Iva in the background, but I do once again go for the potential of the dual purpose torps, hence why I'm sailing north. My main goal is the Torpedoes and the Iva in the background, but if the Mogami happens to turn or continue his course like this, then I might hit him as well. This is something I try to highlight often. It's hard to remember to always do it, and it does take some lining up to make it work, but I consider it always worth attempting. I don't want to shoot him because I don't have my smoke ready, and honestly, it's a Mogami who's horribly out of position, so I'm just constantly calling target on him. You can see a chat of spamming call target on him, because with all these battleships around and New Orleans, Mogami this close is quite a squishy target, and he's due for a citadel or two, so I just want to get him out of the way so I can focus on juicy targets in the back. Worth noting, of course, the enemy does have 2 Moskvas, so I always make certain before I open fire or smoke or anything that neither of the Moskvas are within range. I do have my smoke now, so I could at any time smoke up, but I don't want to waste one. Oh, hello. Mogami eats 2 or 3 citadels as expected. He's down to 6k HP and his guns are pointing the other way, which means I instantly pick a fight. Now, I should probably have used AP there, but I wasn't expecting his I wasn't expecting so many 0 damage hits. I got pretty unlucky here. In fact, I get 12 0 damage hits on him with HE, with 14 now. This is very unlucky. With AP he would probably already be dead. I wasn't expecting to get this horribly unlucky with my volleys. In fact, I did 0 damage with all my HE shells on a Mogami. That is very atypical. That does not happen often at all. So I wasn't expecting that terrible luck. And of course, as soon as I launch the torps, I get plane spotted, which is something I hate. Basically, I had no warning. The same second I launched them, the plane spotted me. And of course, if you're plane spotted and you launch torps, then your torps are instantly detected. Hence why I took such a long break before launching that second volley of torps. I wanted to get undetected before launching the second volley. That's plane is the reason why I'm of course smoking up here, because I cannot stealth fire because of the plane, hence why I'm using my smoke here. Seeing as I thought this Torpedoes was pushing into me, but he's pretty much standing still, I decided to charge out of my smoke and abandon it instantly, and I instead pop my defensive AA to shoot down the plane. Now that the plane is shot down, it means that I can quite easily get back into stealth distance. This Iowa is turning away, which means he's creating distance between me and him, and this Torpedoes is standing still, which means, oh well, he's standing still or reversing, which means once again I can quite easily create this stealth distance if I want. So just by simply reversing my DD away from these ships, I'm able to get back into 9.8 km, which is of course my stealth buffer. And here once again, one of the huge strengths of the gearing is shown, the ability to stealth fire. Once again, for example, after just recently showcasing the Z52 and in general just playing a lot of Z52, the ability to do this is so incredibly potent, and it feels so refreshing. And well, I mean, this is such a huge strength, it cannot be understated. This Torpedoes, well, he is very confident that he does not need to move from my constant shelling. He's obviously underestimating it, because well, once the fires start ticking, well, he still had his repair. I think that's why he was being so arrogant, but that's not very smart. You see that I mostly went for the direction of the Moskva, but I launched them in the general direction of the Torpedoes. So the idea was there, I went for a widespread that's mainly aimed at the Moskva, but the Torpedoes is right between. So if the Torpedoes is still alive by the time those torps arrive, well, then the torps are going to finish him. Always dual purpose torpedoes. The Otago is closing in, so I'm gonna start turning away. Moskva, he's not really close enough yet. The torps are going to finish that Torpedoes. I do have fires on him as well, so I don't care too much. So I can start stealth firing the Otago instead. The ability to stealth fire is by no means limited to just battleships, and especially cruisers who move slowly like this one here are quite easy targets. And of course here you can see just how unlucky I was earlier with the... oh, the Torpedoes actually burned to death before my torps could even arrive. Anyway, here you can see of course how incredibly unlucky I was earlier with getting all those 0 damage hits on the Mogami. The reason I'm taking this fight so aggressively is because I have 50k HP and I have a Yamato here, which is quite a scary foe for this Atago, and as expected he hits a lot of damage from the Yamato, and honestly I don't feel like wasting another smoke here yet, so I just turn in and fight him because I don't believe I'll be as unlucky as I was with the Mogami earlier, and that proves to be quite correct. This Atago is melting significantly faster due to strong DPM. I got 2 fires on him, I think, and yeah, that's him dead. He did get a volley in at the end, pretty heavy volley, bit unfortunate with the timing, but it happens. I am plane spotted once again, so I instantly focus fire it and pop my defensive AA. That's of course one of the reasons why I absolutely love defensive AA on the gearing. It makes that those long, of course the guns on the gearing are dual purpose guns, which means they work as long range AA guns as well, and of course the defensive AA modifies your long range guns by basically sextupling them which means that your long range damage is actually very potent whenever your defensive AA is active, which makes it exceptionally good at quickly deleting those spotter planes, just as I did there, which is why I highly recommend running the defensive AA or the speed boost. Yes, the speed boost would allow me to reach these ships a bit quicker, but being able to instantly delete spotter planes like that is in my book far more valuable than that slight speed increase. Once Bismarck moving in, he's their highest HP target. Now I notice, of course, just as I launched his torps, that Atago volley earlier managed to damage one of my torp tubes, which forced it on reload, which is of course unfortunate because now my torp tubes are desynced, which is something I hate because you only have 10 torps on this ship and usually you want to launch them both at the same time so you can create these wide blankets that have a higher chance of landing hits. In fact, I usually, when I play the gearing, as you probably have noticed in this game, I don't really try to land the torpedoes for the alpha damage itself, but of course torpedoes have a very high chance of flooding, so my goal is to just get one torpedo hit to get that flooding going, and as soon as I have the flooding going, that's when I open up with my guns, and these guns of course with the rapid DPM and the fire chance is what truly grants that high damage that you get from the gearing. So torpedoes, you can ambush battleships or well any ships and you can get kills on them, but I really, in general gameplay, I don't really use it for the purpose of getting those kills, but more just for triggering that damage con, and as soon as damage con is triggered, well, that's when I open up with the true strength of the gearing, which is of course the guns. Once again, stealth firing. I don't want to close in too close yet because of course the main threat still exists here, which is the Moskva, which is what I torp with my second volley. The Moskva, 11.7 km radar and railgun like guns, which means he can, with my 8k HP, he can actually quite easily kill me. Hence why I'm very happy to see, yes, I did get a torpedo hit, which means yes, he has been forced to use this repair, which means as soon as I'm within firing range, I'm going to open up, especially since he seems to be stopping. That torpedo made him skeptic about actually pushing into the cap. He's stopping completely and he's going to start reversing. And of course when he does this, he becomes a fairly easy target for me to hit. And it makes me fairly easy for me to hit the superstructure. I don't even need to get fires here, which I do get though, because the fire chance is pretty decent. I just keep closing the distance at this point because he's already guaranteed dead. There's no need to stealth fire. He should burn to death in a few seconds. I start working on the Friedrich der Grosse instead. And he dies. I'm back to undetected. The Friedrich der Grosse does spot me, but because I run Superintendent, I still have 2 smokes left, so I pop one of the 2 remaining ones and I start slowing down and I start working on Friedrich der Grosse. I don't feel like pushing in too aggressive now because, whoa, someone just got a fairly good battleship hit on me, and that risk always exists in the gearing. Just like with the Z-52, yeah, the ship is fairly wide, so big battleship hits can cripple you, so you always gotta be a bit skeptical, or well, when your HP drops below 10k, that's kind of when you get into the danger zone, that if you do pick a fight with a battleship, you can just get straight up unlucky and he'll get a good penetration, which will instantly end you. Once this time I launched both my torp tubes and I went for the wide spreads, well, the super wide spreads, basically, where I make sure I get at least one hit. As I said before, I'm not aiming to delete them with one spread, I'm just aiming to get 1 or 2 hits, which is exactly what I got there, and I killed him. I would love to finish this Bismarck and secure my Kraken. So at this point, and he's just outside of my range. I don't use any range modules on my gearing, not AFT or the 16% range. I did use the 16% range in the past, but I haven't been using it for a while, since I consider the torpedo reload module more important for making my enemy targets burn that repair more often, which of course greatly enhances the fire, or well, the gun strength in return. The game ended 207,000 damage in a standard battle. Very methodical play, slow but calculated, constantly forcing the repairs with the torps. Only really 78k from the torps, whereas I did 85k from the guns themselves, and of course 42,000 fire damage. So this was a very typical gearing game for me, where it was more about the gun, more about the torps triggering the repair than the torps actually dealing the damage. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this commentary. I'll talk to you guys later.